You're listening to the Turnaround Podcast, the true life basketball story of Bull City's own Stewart Squirt Holley.
Yo, man, this beat crazy.
So we end up, I get the ring, we go down to Myrtle Beach and we vacationing, and I had to set up for us to take a helicopter tour around the time of the fireworks. I set all of this up. I wanted her and I to be up in the helicopter while the fireworks were going off. So that's exactly what had happened. So as we are flying over the ocean, over the city of Myrtle Beach, we see the fireworks going off. So she's like just all excited about the fireworks and the view, and it was both our first time in the helicopter. And so I break the ring out, and she had her head turned. So when she turned around, and I'm just holding the box out, these long ass arms of mine, I'm just holding the box out with it open, with the ring showing, and it's just sitting there just blinging and shit. And she looked at the ring and looked at me, and we had these headphones on, and then you communicate through the headphones. So she just like takes a very deep breath and just gasps like Stewart, like what are you know, like what is this? And she was just so excited, and for that moment I felt so happy to see her lit up like that. Like she was so shocked, and the fireworks were just popping, pow, boom, just going off. And so I just explained to her that I was in love with her, and that I thought that she was just perfect as a person, as a woman. And I told her that the ring was just a symbol of how I feel for her and where I'm willing to take things. It wasn't a proposal. It was just me expressing myself to her, and the ring was just a symbol of that expression. And I asked her to accept the ring as a gift. And she basically went through a series of emotions. She went from excited, confused, happy, to upset, angry, embarrassed, confused. It was crazy. So the vacation quickly turned into a couple's therapy retreat, pretty much, because after that we kind of just talked about pros and cons about trying to get into a serious involvement. But again, I was ready. So once we returned back from the beach, this is where my spiral began to escalate. I didn't hear from her. I waited days, weeks, then I finally said I'm gonna reach out to her. I wanted to get her some time to herself, so I waited. Then I reached out to her, hey, how you doing? And didn't get a response. So I wait, a day or two go by. So then I call. No answer, so I leave a message, okay? After about my third attempt, that's when my mind started to think for the worst. So I decided to write her a letter, explaining to her that she obviously doesn't take my feelings into consideration. So anyway, she finally responds, and she claimed that she was out of the country or something like that. Okay, that's fine, but it just seemed crazy to me that it's like she ignored my other attempts to get in touch with her previously before that. And I never attacked her, but the way she came off was like I was out of the country, and I come back home and I get this message from you, and I'm like, hello, it's been a few weeks, I ain't heard anything from you. Like, I reached out to you I'm polite, and you don't say anything. So the first time I call it how I see it, now it's a problem. So the communication wasn't there. And how I responded to that, yeah, I would begin doing things like once the season get back going. By that time, definitely was an alcoholic, and season to come around and nobody knowing. I kept a half a gallon of liquor. Matter of fact, I kept several half a gallon bottles of liquor in my kitchen. And it would be plenty of nights where I drink 3/4 of that half a gallon, pass out drunk. I would do that like almost every night. And then sometimes I would do it out in public. I just drink to the point where I'm discombobulated, my friends making phone calls. Yo, your brother drunk. Everybody, we all drove different cars. You might want to come. That type of thing where they calling people to come and get me. But all of it was just a combination of just mismanaging my emotions, the frustration with sitting on the bench at the Bull City Legacy, being embarrassed in the community, and dealing with the situation with the young lady, and what I like to call the helicopter incident. But see, all of this It's just, at the end of the day, we all just humans, right? We are spirits in the form of humans just passing through Earth. We're all trying to learn our way as we go. Black, white, no matter what your beliefs are or what your race is, your sex, your gender, you know what I'm saying, any of that. We all are spirits in the form of humans just trying to find our way. And while we're here, we're all in some kind of pursuit of happiness. And she was just one out of a short few that I loved along the way in my lifetime. So it's about 3 or 4 maybe different women that I felt that way about in my lifetime, and she was one of the 3 or 4. And my moms didn't even know. My brother finally said something to my mom one day. He was like, I don't know what's going on with Squirt, something ain't right. And then one of my cousins, he noticed, and he even said something to me though. He was like, I noticed ever since we've been back from Myrtle Beach, you've been going hard with the liquor. He was the first person I told about it. And the way he handled, his emotions is totally different how I handle my emotions. He's the type of dude that's able to disconnect his emotions. He's the type of dude who probably don't even develop emotions from the start. The advice he was giving me was going in one ear and right out the other, because he was just trying to tell me, like, just disconnect. It's not that easy, but for him it's that easy. So, but fast forward today, I'm in a far better space than that. So this is obviously about 5 years ago. The last coaching staff that we had with the Bull City Legacy came to me, sat me down, and apologized to me. The apology came from our third coach's name, Andre, and we call him Coach Dre for short. Coach Andre played high school basketball with Rodney Rogers, who played for the Philadelphia 76ers and the Celtics, Clippers, and the Denver Nuggets, and a few more teams in the NBA. So him and Dre, very good friends, and they played together in high school. So but Coach Dre came to me, and Coach Dre apologized, and that put a lot of things in perspective for me. He apologized to me. He said, I'm sorry. Basketball means so much more to you than it does these other guys. And I got caught up in these other guys, and it should have been more moments and more times I should have played you more than what I did. And I appreciated him for that. The first guy didn't have the guts to do that, to admit that. That helped, when Coach Dre pulled me to the side and apologized to me for that. That helped with some healing, because those were some hurtful times. And like I said again, the situation with the helicopter incident, as far as my personal life at that time, that made me extremely unhappy. And that was something that I struggled with. I felt like I almost relapsed, like I did how I felt when men went our separate ways. That was a funk that I just could not emotionally get out of. And each time was different. That was like my 3rd time feeling that way. The first time I felt that way was over a young lady named that I know I talked about earlier. It took me almost 10 years to emotionally get out of that feeling. And just when I had picked up my life and moved on emotionally and all of those things, then later in life I met. Then when she broke things off, it's like I regressed back to the same way I felt. But it was a little different. 10 years later, a few years later, I was a little older, and I responded just crazy how I responded to it. That was the first time I had just couldn't concentrate on basketball. The only difference, at that time, alcohol wasn't a part of my life. So I didn't respond in that manner. But the 3rd time in the helicopter, I responded with alcohol use. And that was the trigger that was fired. I went on that spiral with the alcohol binge the way I did. My closest friends and family members had no idea about how I was feeling on the inside. Some of them saw how I was abusing alcohol, but they still didn't know what was going on. And a few people would say things to me about it, because what they see is, I've never seen him do this before. And this was something they were seeing on a regular with me. I'm talking about I am in public, wasted, getting wasted if I wasn't wasted. I'm here to drink this damn bar dry, or until I run out of money, whichever happened first. So it was funny how things come in a circle. Back in 2006, when I was going through the thing with, I had lost one of my grandmothers and our aunt, and so I was going through those things, and I had gotten the DWI, and so it was crazy. Here we are, 2015, and it was like the same thing is happening to me over again. Damn, I didn't go out, and I get another DWI. I'm out driving, shouldn't have been driving, shouldn't have been behind the wheel of the car, but my motives for being at the bar was all wrong. I'm at the bar because I just wanted to get drunk. I wanted to get drunk because my heart was broken. I was dissatisfied with the Bull City legacy. I'm dissatisfied with my personal life, my love life. And how I responded to that was, let me get a double shot, Grey Goose, let me get a chill. I put that down, order me another one. I put that down, order me another one. And when I'm at home, I'm just, like I said, I got bottles all over the house. So when I'm at home, I'm definitely drinking loose. And I knew I had to get myself under control, but I couldn't. I was a man apart in so many different ways. And I got 2 younger brothers, 2 younger sisters. And I know, like hell, I could have picked the phone up and called either one of them and talked to either one of them. My mom and my daddy, fortunately, thank God, both of my parents, they still living. I could have called either one of my parents and talked to either one of my parents. I got close friends. I could have picked up the phone and called in. I ain't have my close friends, male or female. I could have called and talked to any of them. I think it was foolish pride that got in the way of me doing that, pick up the phone and call someone and talk. So again, I hid how I felt my whole time period with the Bull City legacy. I hid how I felt. I hid those emotions. And then when the situation went down with me and I hid those feelings the same way I did with. The only difference, I just didn't bombard myself inside my apartment or my house. And when it went down with me, I just avoided everybody, you know what I'm saying, for months. I did that for at least 6 months. I wouldn't even show my face, and nobody even knew why. They didn't see me. I just didn't come out the house. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't want to be seen. I didn't want to be bothered. And so we're going with some of those same feelings and emotions I had with dealing with. Like I said, the only thing I did not do was just isolate myself at home. I still came out. I tried to appear to be as normal as possible. But if there was liquor around, trust me, I had my lips to a cup. And if it wasn't no liquor around and I had some around just so I could put my lips to a bottle, and it was at night, I'd be home alone and I'd actually pray because I was scared that I was losing control of myself and I didn't know what to do, how to do it. After the Bull City legacy, I think the TRBL was like on a decline. It had a short run. So again, that was like the only reason why the Bull City legacy concluded was because the TRBL was concluding and the owner of the team didn't want to, at that time, I guess he was looking for other options to enter the team into some kind of other professional league and organization. So with the Bull City legacy basically coming to an end, at that moment in time, I felt like my basketball life was also coming to an end. And so after the Bull City legacy and the whole helicopter thing, all of that was like just fresh. And I started hanging with a close relative and some other close relatives and some friends. And you would have thought after playing about 12 years on professional circuits, you would have thought that I probably would have had amassed at least a few $1 million. But in actuality, I had amassed just a few $100,000. That goes quicker than people know, especially when you're just spending all is going out, none is coming in. And so I still was in that cloud from just the whole allowing myself to be emotionally weak and resorting to the alcohol. And it picked up because I really didn't have anything to occupy my time after basketball. So we started basically vacationing. We was club hopping, going from one state to the next state, going from one city to the next city, VIP this, VIP that. And it was fun, but deep down, there was still a void. And no one close to me picked up on that. And this went on for a while. No one picked up on that. So all I could think about was all that hard work I had put into basketball. And this is how it ends. That's all I kept thinking in the back of my mind. Like, all that hard work I put into it, and that's it. Like, I didn't know the Bull City legacy was coming to an end. I didn't know the TRBL was coming to an end. So that was a surprise in itself. I saw the signs. Like, for one, as far as whenever we would have home games, our crowds was getting smaller and smaller. And before that, the organization itself was getting smaller. We went from having dancers to not having dancers. We went from having halftime entertainment to not having halftime entertainment. We went from having a disc jockey and a commentator to not having a disc jockey and a commentator. So I saw that. And I used to tell my team, this don't look good. So, but it still, once it all concluded and it ended, it was like a Mike Tyson uppercut. You don't see it coming, you just wake up from it. So, like I said, I was still in that funk. Like, I worked so hard, and that was just it. Like, just that last ball game, you don't even know it's the last ball game. And all I could think about was, that's pretty much like the same way my college career ended. We lost in the conference. After we was defending champs, we lost. And coach didn't play me much at all. I don't think I played at all. And I had no idea that was my last college game. I guess when people file for divorce, it's like irreconcilable differences. That's how it was with me and my coach. Me and him just weren't on the same page. So I thought about that, and just that was heartbreaking to me. And then I'm living it all over again with the Bull City legacy. So, like I said, I just started hanging with, and I ain't gonna put my cousin out there, but those who know, they know. So I started hanging with my cousin on a more regular basis, and I said, I was doing pretty much what we wanted to do. And my mom had said something to me. She was like, at the route you're going, boy, you're gonna be broke in a few years. And that's because she knew wasn't no income coming in, and I was just spending. And like I said, I had definitely got into the vodka thing, just the way situations had panned out. And it had got to a point that I was just partying and so reckless. It had got to a point where I was just so loose that I actually went out one night. I got into an incident with some police. And so here I go catching, for the second time in my life, another driving while impaired charge. So this particular night, I got the DWI. I think the police officer, he said that I swerved into the double yellow lanes, and he pulled me for that. But I told him I was trying to avoid a pothole, and that I saw him. But he was trying to act as if like we was just going to have a head-on-head collision. And I saw him the whole time. And I'm not condoning drinking and driving. I wouldn't advise it to anybody drinking and driving. But for some reason, I don't care how drunk I had gotten at any time. Once I got behind the wheel of that car, sober up. It might sound real stupid, but being a black man living in America, we got automatic targets on our back. So I knew I'd been drinking. I was very conscious of that. And I keep a little Visine in the car. I drop Visine, drops in my eyes, clear my eyes up, put a piece of peppermint or gum in my mouth. And I even try to spray down with some little body spray that I keep in the car with some body oil. And just mask and cover up those type of things if I'm out doing that. But I was totally in the wrong because I had been drinking that night. And I had been drinking very excessively that night, as a matter of fact. So, but he pulled me and said that it smelled alcohol. And I refused to blow. Like the first time, I'm not finna be cooperative. So I did that. And so I ended up catching DWI. My attorney, we did a very excellent job. Actually got those charges dismissed. But the crazy thing was I kept doing what I was doing. Didn't pay attention to those signs. And like I said, that all just stemmed from just being emotionally vulnerable and being dumb and not being trustworthy. Because like I said, I had people that I could talk to, whether it was intimate family members or close friends. I knew I could have picked the phone up and called somebody, but out of that mental state of weakness, I made bad choices. And I was going to some DWI classes, in which was therapeutic, because they want you to communicate, they want you to open up, they want you to share your stories and talk to others who are alike. And so that was like the first steps that I took to try to somewhat heal, because that's what it was there for. You had to pay for it and all that type of stuff. So I tried to make myself available when I go to these classes and participate, because I had to be there. I had to pay to be there. So I said, let me try to get something out of this. And that was like the first attempt to try to heal. And I had to do community service, but I elected, instead of doing community service, I elected to do the community service hours in the county jail. And I laid in the county jail, and all I thought about was I need to find a way to get back to basketball. Because at that point, it was like, I've dealt with this before, so this is what I'm telling myself. You've dealt with this before. Shake that shit off, get back to doing what you do. That's all I kept telling myself. And I found it to be a little easier said than done, because I was very slow to react. And so when the owner decided to take the Bull City Legacy out of this TRVL, my finances were depleted. And so I had some choices to make, and I made some choices. That'll be something we get into, life after the Bull City Legacy.
This has been a Vanguard Podcast Network original. Stay tuned for the next episode of the Turnaround Podcast, and follow the Turnaround Podcast on Instagram by clicking the link in the show notes. If you'd like to book Stewart Holley for a speaking engagement or to be a guest on your show, please reach out to theturnaround77@gmail.com, and someone will get back to you within 48 hours. Thank you for listening.